This is a test of the City of Palatka audio system. Test 2 of the City of Palatka audio system.
Meeting to order. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Palatka Commission meeting on February 9th, 2023. We're going to have an invocation. It's Pastor Mulberry now. Okay. Commissioner Jones. Start the invocation.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this assembly today. Give us clean minds, clear heads, and make good decisions for our city. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Roll call, Madam Mayor.
Roll call, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Tammy McCaskill,
Here.
Commissioner Justin Campbell, Commissioner Will Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Rufus Borum is an excused absent, Madam Mayor, and Mayor Correa.
Present.
Thank you. We do have a forum here in the chambers, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. Public recognition presentations, we have a proclamation for Black History Month. Ms. France.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A proclamation of the City of Palatka. Whereas Black History Month affords special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black resilience and persevering heritage, and to honor the many Black leaders who have contributed to the progress of our nation. And whereas such knowledge can strengthen the insight of all our citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that have been made in the crusade to eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups, and the continuing struggle against discrimination and poverty. Whereas it traces of people who refuse to accept the circumstances under which they arrived on these shores, and it chronicles the generations who fought for an America that truly reflects the ideals enshrined in our founding documents. And whereas it is the narrative of Black slaves who shepherded others among the path to freedom, of preachers who spoke out against the rules of Jim Crow, of young Blacks who sat in at lunch counters, of ordinary men and women who took extraordinary risks to change our nation for the better, of Black women who were courageous visionaries and led the fight to end slavery, of tenacious activists who fought to expand basic civil rights to all Americans, of literary giants who gave voice to their communities, and of artists whose harmonies and brushstrokes captured hardships and aspirations. And whereas the achievements of Blacks are not limited to those recorded and retold in our history books, as their impact is felt in communities where they are quiet heroes who care for their families, in boardrooms where they are leaders of industry, in laboratories where they are discovering new technologies, and in classrooms where they are preparing the next generation for the world they will inherit. Now, therefore, Roberta M. Correa, Mayor of the City of Palatka, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby endorse the month of February 2023 as Black History Month in the City of Palatka. And they urge all citizens to join together in making this a period of rededication to the principles of justice and equality for all people, and to pay tribute to the contributions of past generations and reaffirm our commitment to keeping the American dream alive for the next generation. And witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed the official seal of the City of Palatka this 9th day of February in the year of our Lord 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Watson Brown. Thank you, Peter. This is the Black History Month. How many steps this proclamation?
Could I please bring
You sure can.
Connie Snyder's family is the Belton family, and it's 5 generations of them. I've got 4, she's got 5. So I think she should, to be here to.
Turn the mic on and tell everybody so we know.
Okay. Connie Snyder is family has been here for 5 generations. Her grandfather's mural is on the side of, I don't know who owns that building, but it's on 8th Street now. And they were business people, restaurants and a little mall, and they're building and a lot of things. And so I thought it would be good for somebody else to know I'm not the only ancient thing here. but you do that activity.
Okay, good, thank you. And you can come up and hold the proclamation and you can take a photo. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. City manager and administrative reports.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got three quick ones that I'll mention, and they are ideas for the commission to consider. As you all know, our last meeting ran very late, after 11 o'clock. I believe that it's fairly well recognized by everyone that when you run a meeting for 4 hours plus, towards the end of that meeting, probably the attention span as well as the ability for everyone to concentrate is greatly reduced. And courtrooms, Judge Nichols here in the audience, there used to be a saying that the mind can absorb only what the posterior can stand. There's a little bit of truth to that. The longer you drone on with meetings, the less people tend to be effective in both considering and presenting. So we were trying to come up with some ideas that might shorten our meetings. I'm going to throw some ideas out there. It's for the commission to make decisions about, obviously. We have student of the month every other month. Every other meeting or once a month. My suggestion is that we think about starting that at 5:30 for the students of the month and bring them in so that by the time we get through with the individual pictures, the group photos, et cetera, we might be able to use 30 minutes before the meeting starts for that process. Commissioners, of course, welcome to come in at 5:30, but if you don't want to come in at 5:30, it would be an optional attendance matter. And that way we could still recognize the students, still have the proclamation, still let them come. And if any of them that wanted to stay for the remainder of the meeting to see what happens at the meeting could do so, but we wouldn't be requiring them to sit through any portion of our meeting in order to give their student of the month certificate. Obviously, these are procedural matters, so they're for the commission to decide. Secondly, with regard to proclamations, sometimes we have 4, 5, 6 proclamations on the agenda. My thought was that we think about going ahead and generating written proclamations, but instead of taking the time to read each one in depth, and sometimes they're read so fast people can't understand what's being read anyway. But instead of doing that, we simply go ahead and have the written proclamations, and then the mayor or someone else announces that today the city's going to recognize, the different folks or entities that are receiving proclamations, indicate that written proclamations have been generated, call them up to receive them, but we wouldn't necessarily take the time to read each one in full length. And then lastly, I think the department reports being more detailed than they have been in the past has been well received. But my thought is that instead of us doing them every week, we move them, or every month, every meeting, we move those to the meeting when there's not a, they can have a department report, but they'll just be hitting the highlights like they have been done in the past. And the more detailed report would happen one meeting a month on the meeting when the student of the months are not being recognized. Hope is simply the last meeting by actual time, we didn't start the meeting for about 2 hours after the 6 o'clock, formal start time. So these are thoughts, throwing them out there. As you know, I've only got 5 more meetings to deal with this, so it's not going to be as critical an issue for me as it will for you. But these are thoughts that might make it better for the public who are sitting in here in attendance at these things. So that's you don't have to give me a response now. You can email me later, or you can discuss it now, or you can reject all of the above. Just putting them out there for consideration.
Thank you. Anybody have any thoughts on that? You want to think about it in the books? I thought at this point, after the last meeting, we'd all be ready for any suggestions to reduce the time. So, is there anybody who opposes the idea?
And I think in there, in the absence of, and I think it's been happening as of recent, we've been getting, a lot better detailed emails, with what has been presented to the public as well. So that's one reason why I'm in favor of making the, administrative reports the bi-weekly type, because we have been getting better emails with regards to logistics of what was going on in the department, so.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further right now.
Thank you. Chief Taylor?
I don't have a lot tonight, but I just would let you guys know that we finished up our Seminole training for the rescue classes, is all done. We've got the hazmat 60-hour class coming up, new people, and the vehicle extrication class. Other than that, we're just training and trying to get everybody up to speed. That's all we got tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Walsh?
I really don't have much of anything this evening because there was such a long presentation. Oh, but I will tell you though that the Crystal Cove RV resort that was submitted for PUD, they are having their community meeting right now as we speak.
How many units are they proposing? Lisa?
They are proposing a maximum of 400 RV sites and 50 rustic or primitive campsites.
Mr. Griffin? Mr. Cartwright?
I got a presentation. I just have a little small snippet to show. It should take more about a minute. Then we can load it up right quick. This is just a highlight of the recreation and cultural arts department things we've done over the last 3 to 4 months. Next slide. This was our flag football we had back in November, December. We had about 60 some kids in that. It was pretty nice. We had a wonderful time. As you see, Gregory was very active during that time period. With a couple of teams. This is our Jigo Jam. The annual event that we put on everything around December 17th. It was a pretty nice turnout. The weather held out for us, but it was kind of overcast, but we had a good turnout. Just keep on that, just showing you a little more. This is our annual golf tournament. We collaborate with the Town Police Athletic League. It happened this past January the 28th. These are some of the pictures. We had a lot of staff that came out to support us, and some of the commissioners and the mayor came out to support too. So I want to say thank you and kudos for that. Next slide. There's a couple more teams that was in the event. That team to the right, they came up from Miami. Those were Miami guys. So they said it was freezing. But bottom right is Andy, the golf people. They had a good team. The left was our sponsors, and St. John Bottom was our premier sponsor this past tournament. They gave away $1,000 to the event. And this is upcoming T-ball is set to start February 18th. We have a skill and drill camp this Tuesday at 6:30 at Greg Green. So if you have anything going on, come out and help us and support them. We got about 48 now. We had a couple late sign-ups after this event. And coming soon, adult kickball, Mayor's Health Challenge, Mayor's Reception, and Hippity Hoppity River Park.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I only have 2 things, and for our department heads, our Blue Value Partner for Wellness Exams extended has increased for our employees from 25 per eligible participant to $35. And they can get these wellness exams up to March the 31st for it to count toward our Blue Value metrics. Currently our job openings, we have 11 in the general, plus the opening vacancies in the police department. We're currently onboarding a facility superintendent, a refuse collector, and a sanitation driver. We have scheduled interviews for a firefighter and utility maintenance worker. And the last thing is, I would like to recognize, Mr. James Keeley. He was a summer intern, last year at the airport, a youth ambassador program member. He was student of the month last month in January of 2023. And we want to welcome him now as a part-time aviation operations assistant at the Palatka.
And he is all about everything dealing with airplanes. So that's a little bit, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Chief Shaw?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. I don't have much to report today. I do want to touch on, we completed our sergeant's assessment. That's to fill the vacant position created by Tommy Robinson's exit. And we're hopefully bringing something back to you next month for our decision on which one was chosen. Very good assessment, and we're very proud of the individuals that participated. Next up, I should have in your packets crime statistics for the month of January. If you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer those questions now.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan?
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Not a lot to report on, as Ms. Jones has already alluded to. We made a significant amount of interviews and potential onboardings, and a lot of that is actually due to recent onboarding of our new operations manager, who's in attendance tonight, Mr. Joe Baricchio. And with his help, we hope to bring public works up to speed in a lot of different areas.
Thank you. Ms. Grace? Do you have anything?
Actually, I just wanted to say thank you. We had a couple citizens that I caught on film, and I've been posting them on Facebook, cleaning up. I hear a lot of where I can find litter, which I'm very aware of, but it's not a competition to find that, but we do have citizens that are out there doing a lot of work, and I've been trying to make sure I put them to the front and not expose them, but celebrate them.
Thank you. We're going to open up the floor to public comments, general public comment. We're going to miss. Oh, I'm sorry. She's on. Ms. Tucker?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. So I wanted to announce really quick that the city has been notified of an award of an additional grant. It's a US DOT Safe Streets for All planning grant in the amount of $960,000. It's citywide, and that brings our 6-year total for staff awarded grants up to $46.891 million. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's reached that achievement. It's pretty spectacular.
Madam Mayor, I asked Manny to specifically mention that because there are very few municipalities of our size who can claim that a two-person team has been responsible for bringing in $46.8 million worth of grants in 6 years. That's a pretty staggering amount.
What would that break down for a year?
A little over, what, 7.5 almost 8 a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. Is there anybody else I missed? Okay, we're going to open it up to public comments. Please limit it to 3 minutes. I'm not going to give you name and address for the record, and this is about general public comments, not specific to something on the agenda. The first person we have is Mr. Vickers.
Good evening to the mayor, commissioners. My name is Askew Vickers, 207 North 18th Street, Vic Suffolk. I have a few questions to the mayor and to the. In the Constitution, we are equal to each other, right? If we equal to each other, we can do the same thing. So are we equal to the same protection for everybody? This police department is here to serve and protect. Should we all get the same equal treatment? That's a question.
Oh, it's a question. Well, I
Yeah,
would accept so, yes.
Okay. Why is it that I cannot receive that? I was here talking to the city manager, the city attorney, to the chief of police. They will not give me the protection that I need to secure a safe place. I've asked, begged, pleaded, and called, but I will not be doing it again. I just want some protection, and I call for protection for service. Service is what I need when there's things get out of hand. Here's a public, full of all the things that they did bad before he got here, but it has not changed. I just want to, can I get this, the protection that's granted to you, me and all the people here? Right to what? The service and protection, service thing.
I will have to gather more information, obviously. As you know, I'm new to this and I need more information about what all your issues you encountered and talk to the manager, but I can't answer you at this moment, to be honest.
But I would say, am I obligated, do I have the right to have the same protection? Service protection. The chief of police won't give a shit.
That's, so this is probably a little bit deeper discussion, but I don't want it to, I'm sorry, I don't want those accusations to go unchallenged. I have met with Mr. Vickers and, first of all, I guess there's, from what I can understand, there's one main topic that he wants to talk about, and that is having the city police essentially clear his parking lot of folks that he doesn't want, who he says are not there to patronize his business. But there are problems with that in terms of knowing who's there to patronize his business and who's not. This chief can speak a little bit more about that, but we have had those conversations about the fact that there might be, and the last I heard, he brought in someone to help in our communications, and we talked about some things he could do with regard to his, I guess, delineation of areas where people who were going to frequent his business would be compared to people who weren't frequenting his business. But a lot of it boils down to essentially him policing his own parking lot for those who aren't going to, who he says aren't there to patronize his business. And the chief can go into greater detail with that than I, but that's my understanding of the complaint that he has. So chief is right there if he wants to respond.
Can you make room for the chief to ask you please for a minute so he can respond?
So since our last meeting, we actually haven't had an event, but we came up with a detailed plan. What I was aware of to address the issue with Mr. Baker's parking lot. We were waiting on some information from him, to the way he was changing his parking lot to help us identify who was patronizing his establishment and who wasn't, so we'd be able to easily clear the parking lot. We haven't had anything come up since then, or to my knowledge, been called to clear the parking lot for anything from him. Nor has he returned that information to us to notify us where that separate area would be.
Thank you. Just a couple of more minutes, Mr. Vickers, because we have to move on minutes.
I know that, this is public comment and actually we didn't want, I heard of the accusations, but no action should be taken on this. We should listen and move along.
I have one question for the city manager.
Well, I think you need to set up an appointment again. I know you have met before, but I think Mr. Vickers is supposed to set up an appointment. It is public comment.
I just want to ask you, do we have a right to have our own trash container? Can we purchase them or rent them?
Trash container?
We have dumpsters, and you're being charged $178 a month to use it. Can I purchase my own?
Vickers, we'll certainly talk to Public Works, but my understanding is that we furnish dumpsters. They are at a cost, depending upon the size of the dumpster, because they have to be of a type, style, and size that our equipment can access and dump. Otherwise, they are problematic for us. So purchase your own dumpster of the type that we use to empty.
Can you set up an appointment to
Yeah.
talk to Mr. McMillan in Public Works, please? Mr. McMillan, can you give your contact information to Mr. Vickers, please? Thank you. So we can have the next person. Ms. Pierce?
Name and address.
Yes, please.
Brianna Pierce, 213 Madison Street, Palatka. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. On behalf of the Putnam County Historical Society, I wanted to introduce myself as the new president and just familiarize myself. Also, I have an invitation to invite all of y'all to our upcoming event on February 18th. It is the Putnam County Historical History and Genealogy Expo. And I have one for each of you guys, but I just want to invite each of you to that. And that's actually being chaired by Ms. Mary Reed. And then also I want to introduce my new vice president, Nicole Ritz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Galloway, did you have a general public comment?
When I first got the call, one space up in the screen. Sorry, Madam Mayor.
I was just gonna say, if there was any questions.
Any questions?
So,
Thank you. Ms. Robinson?
Lovely to see you all tonight. And I'm certainly grateful with all my heart for repairs done on the Bronson House. Thank you. But that's not what I'm going to talk about. I live on the most dangerous corner in Palatka. In 2017, the DOT did a survey. There were 10,000 vehicles per day. Now, I looked into the accident situation. In the last 7 years, there have been 14 accidents. One death, a woman burned alive on my corner. There are unreported accidents, and there is constant speeding. At this point in time, trucks, 6 trucks every 5 minutes. Now, I'm really glad we got all that money from transportation and streets, because it would be very wonderful to stop the mayhem on the corner. One death was one too many. And I gave you a little printout of all the work. I've been working on this for 5 years. And I'm hoping that you all will get that corner. I know part of it is State Road 20, but 10,000 vehicles, a 4-way stop, 2-lane streets, 1 stop sign, and a full intersection. The last little girl that smashed into the big pillar, I'm the first responder. I come out. She is in shock. She said, there was no light. I didn't see anything. She was 22 years old, nursing assistant, and smashed her car. So these things don't need to happen, and I am so hoping that you all will consider a solution. Thank you very much for listening to me.
can I ask a question?
Ms. Robinson? Yeah, you're right.
I just would like to ask you a question. So,
Sure.
I'm familiar with that. But with it being State Road, what do you suggest we do? What would
Well,
you
in
like to see?
2003, the city of Palatka made ordinance 82/2003 85, I think, that forbids through trucks along that corridor. This has never been enforced. That would be one good thing. I personally have done some research in other communities and in Gainesville. In all the student apartments with multiple traffic and scooters and that, they built small roundabouts. That a roundabout would relieve the police force because we don't have any traffic. Roundabout would automatically stop the dangerous speeding and it would automatically stop the trucks and nobody would have to say or do anything. Now, I know, this is a complicated thing to ask for, but to me, clearly, as Palatka grows, you see, the accidents increase. There was only one in 2015.
Okay, so you answered my first question. Second question, follow up. You say you contacted DOT. What did DOT tell you about that?
Oh, well, it was 5 years ago when I moved here. And I was horrified because I bought my house sight unseen. Didn't know that it was a truck lane, okay?
Truck route, right?
So I called up the DOT and I said, can you please help me and do a traffic survey? Because I'd like to present this to the city and the county to remediate the situation. And they said, okay, they did it, no problem. And then I presented it all around and did a petition of names and presented that to everybody to no avail, I'm sorry to say. But I kept calling the DOT and they would say, well, Palatka is a city and the city can do essentially what it wants. If you look at other cities, they do not have gigantic semis and trailers full of portolets. Other cities do not, running through their residential historic neighborhoods. So there's a solution, and I'd sure like to find it officially.
Mr. Griffin, go on.
Mr. Griffin has come up, I think, to give us some thoughts about it. If you'd like me to. Yes, that'd be great, thank you.
So first and foremost, we can reach out to our partners at the state and alert them that we're having some issues. It is state right away. I do know that our department does monitor it. We have requested the state put up additional signage. They have replied that they have the required signage up. But again, we can make another request. I was searching my email and in March of 2020, Trimble reached out after us trying to reach multiple parties to update the source that Google and a lot of the routing software use to eliminate that route from, I guess, I don't know how truckers search for approved GPS routing, but it appears there's a way where they notify them of non-approved roads. But we can reach back out and say we're still having some problems.
I guess to the point, can we unilaterally change that route or affect it since it is state right away?
So,
No, you can't, excuse me.
So Mr. Holmes, yeah, we have an ordinance on the book that states where approved truck routes are. And it does not include 9th Street or State Road 20. That's the documentation that we sent to Trimble to notify them.
But can we, since it is a state right of way, can we absolutely issue citations, pull trucks over, that sort of thing?
That would be a question for Chief Shaw.
City manager, to answer your question, no, we cannot enforce it. If that's up there, we can attempt to educate. And that's some things we've been trying to do with the signboards. And then also when we have additional time, attempting to address the trucks that they come through. But as you know, that is something that is not necessarily a complete answer for it. And it's not addressing the issues. I've been talking with Mr. Griffith. We both discussed on different avenues that we can address by reapproaching DOT, as well as looking for some other answers for possibly finding areas we can put additional signage.
I think it's something that obviously requires more discussion and thought about how to proceed. It is a dangerous route. So we certainly want to, are you coming up with public comment? Yes, it is.
While she's coming up, is this something that we can make sure that, we have a follow-up on and that it doesn't fall? So of course, I know we get forward in direction, but just so that it stays in the forefront so that why answer citizens.
And the only thing that I'm wondering is whether or not, and I know that, it seems like for every 3 people that you make happy with the move, you make 4 unhappy, but it's possible that we could lobby the state, so to speak, to take action on that route. I don't know how that'll be received across the board, and I don't know if they'll do it. But and I don't know all the limitations that we're gonna run into that they're gonna say they have in like designating that as not. I think there's some issues that are broader, and that is, one of the things would be if they remove their state designation of the road, then they won't maintain it. That's at least, I think, a very simplistic approach to it. So you're gonna buy that much extra right of way and roadway to deal with in the city. But can we give you a report? Absolutely.
I live in Citizens 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. I just wanted to clear up something. The truck route ordinance that the city passed in 2003 only referred to residential city streets like River Street, Kirby Street. It had nothing to do with state roads. Only it is the law, but it does not include the state roads at all. Just wanted to point that out. The other thing is the reason. Well, first of all, it's a state road, and I think this is a warning to everybody. Do not buy anything that you don't look at first. Check with your realtor. Find out what the neighborhood's like. The other thing is the underpass on Pearl Avenue, which is State Road 20. That's the only underpass. So any kind of traffic, commercial traffic or even residential traffic, when the train is on the track, blocking Reed Street, which is US 17 and State Road 100, and then the only underpass, the only way to get from one side of the town to the other is through that underpass. So that is a main issue right there with that. I feel sorry for Ms. Robinson. I've heard her talk about this for years, and I understand how bad traffic can be. I can't imagine what she lives up with, but it's still, it's a state road, and it's just unfortunate that whoever sold her the property did not inform her that it was on a state road and a very busy highway. Hopefully we can get some more signage, but that's all.
Thank you. We want permission for the discussion on this topic. Mr. Russo, oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, well,
Did you give name and address?
oh, Mary Lawson Brown, 107 South 9th Street, Palatka. That highway has been there for more than 100 years. It was designated highway back in those days. And we had, the property was heard, it came before us and was checked on, and I thought we found out that it could not be changed because it was a major state highway.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Russo, do you have a general public comment? Please come up. 3 minutes, name and address for the record.
Russo, 415 Emmett. Good evening, all the commissioners and staff who are well. I recently learned of the city commissioner's salaries, and you are underpaid. And for an important job that requires your time, your researching of issues, your dedication, and I believe citizens would support commissioners getting a raise, something more comparable to other cities.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. What is true? Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we accept.
I want to vote.
Okay, item E. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda excluding item number L and N.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Second. Okay. Discussion. On N,
The motion, I didn't call her a vote on the
Okay.
motion.
all in favor? I'm sorry. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, thank you. L,
Mayor, Commissioners, this current brought it to our attention with some of the planned travel coming up in April. And we're seeing this everywhere, just with inflation. We didn't anticipate, and we did not budget accordingly. So we're proposing to move $3,000 in each one of your lines so that you can make the trip to Tallahassee and some of the other scheduled trips that you have on your calendars. That's all it says.
Mary, the caption, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry, please.
Mary, the
Yes,
caption.
Susan.
Resolution number 2023 R39, the resolution authorizing a budget transfer within the general fund from executive salaries to the city commission schooling and conferencing general ledger line and providing for scrivener's errors.
Thank you. Thank you.
My question is, where's that money being moved from?
Didn't move it, it's being moved from executive salaries. There was cost savings associated with some positions that didn't get filled at the beginning of the year. So there is no net impact to the budget. But if we do have to maintain, this budget line amount for next year, it will have an impact on reserves.
Let me ask this question, and it may be open. The money that we were allocated for community events, will we be able to use that money for travel? It's for the use of us gaining knowledge and understanding, to come back and better the city. So that way, that money has already been allocated towards something, and it doesn't have to be removed from where you are. But is that something that we will be able to do, return what has not been used, of our?
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
that is actually on the agenda for discussion later at item 8.
Well, no, it really isn't. I mean, he's asking if we can take money from the special event fund, for lack of a better term, to apply here, rather than taking it from executive salaries. Item 8 has to do with guidelines that we talked about earlier for use of the special event money. I'm not sure that it makes a big difference in that, we've got money in different pockets. We can take it out of the executive salaries or take it out of the special event fund. Either way, if it's not used, it's still in the general budget, general fund. So we're basically just talking about a reallocation.
Yeah, this proposal does not limit us in any other way this year, but to answer your question more directly, yes, and that would just simply be a budget transfer that would not require the entire commission to authorize. Each commissioner will just be able to come to staff and request for a budget transfer.
So what happened to the allocation of, like, last year, I didn't use any? So what does that mean? You go back into the general funds and what reserve?
Yes, sir. Any unallocated funds do not roll over unless specified by the commission during the budget process.
Okay. That was important.
And adopt resolution 2023-41, authorizing the mayor to execute certification forms, for the Palatka Housing Authority's 2023. No, we already did this. Yeah, okay. All right, all in favor? Any opposition? Okay, thank you. On to N, adopt resolution 2023-41, authorizing the mayor to execute certification forms for the Palatka Housing Authority's 2023 annual plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Palatka, Florida, authorizing the mayor to sign and certify the Palatka Housing Authority's 2023 annual plan for consistency with the city comprehensive plan and the Housing Authority's consolidated plan, providing for scrivener's errors.
Ms. Walsh?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. This is a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign this annual plan for the Palatka Housing Authority. In the plan, they've got a number of their properties that they're looking at. They're looking at doing some landscaping and interior and exterior renovations at various properties. And this is just a sign off that we are not going to require an environmental review. properties are existing already. There's in general, there are never environmental reviews for landscaping and interior and exterior renovations.
Okay, I didn't see any, additional acquisitions of property in the summary, so. We do have somebody with public comment, Ms. Kitchens.
Thank you. I just wanted a brief discussion on it. I live with Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. I just wanted a brief discussion on it for the sake of transparency, so that the public would know exactly what was going on. If it's the same as last year, that's no problem. But I remember several years ago, Black Housing Authority came before the commission, and they wanted to put in 800 or 900 housing units, 800 or 900 units for people. And Commissioner Borum asked at that time for the people, local people, and he was told no, they were from out of the county. So I just want to make sure that this is, if there's a big change coming to Black Housing Authority's plans, and I think the commission needs to discuss it and let the public know. And I think Ms. Walsh described it very well. I'm satisfied with it. I don't see anything that's alarming to the citizens, so thank you.
I think when we can direct out to that, he said that all of the folks are from out of that house. Move to allow some of the folks.
I think he questioned that. There's quite a bit of debate on it at the time, I remember. But the majority of them, if not all of them, were from out. The then House Authority, Mr. Nelson said they were all from out of town. But regardless, it was a large number that didn't really benefit local citizens, and that was the point. But the point of this is the public needs to know what Black Housing Authority is doing. Ms. Walsh explained it nicely. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. Going to the regular agenda, the discussion direction on Hannah Hall disposition.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We have not talked about this in some time. This quickly, I'll go over the history for the benefit of everyone here. The commission directed staff to surplus and advertise an invitation to bid on this property. I believe just before that, we had received an unsolicited offer. As a result of that bid process, we did not receive any offers. There was some discussion ensued, and staff was directed to try and rezone the property to commercial. That effort did not pass. That's kind of where we're at right now. Staff wanted to bring it back up for your discussion. The building is not being utilized. If you did desire to put it back out, our recommendation would be to enter an agreement with a realtor, which we have under continuing contract already, and put it out based upon the broker's opinion. We have not got a revised broker's opinion. If you recall, the high side of that was $100,000 for the existing building and land is completed to that building, and then $25,000 for each of the two vacant lots. So that brings the total up to $150,000. Questions? Yeah, you're fine, sir. It's just asking any questions.
No, you mentioned broker's opinion last time. I said, I think that we should get an appraisal of that property the way other land is bought and sold. And I don't know what the commission pleasure was at that time, but we didn't get anybody to buy it. The valuation on it, I personally think that we should get an appraisal of that property and put it out there for sale.
Anybody else have any comments? Questions? I can only say, as a realtor, realtors often do CMAs and do comps for and not get an official appraisal, and that's kind of the standard. You can't get an appraisal. It is quite costly, but generally, in reality, most appraisals are not from the area, and local realtors actually know more about the values of specific properties, just so.
Mr. Holmes, you made this input about the appraisal properties and about that in the background. Did you not?
I probably did. I've dealt with appraisals the vast majority of my career. They are an opinion. As the mayor indicated, they are based upon normally multiple avenues of assessment, but they do rely heavily on comparable sales in the area. Sometimes there are comparable there are properties that are comparable to the property being sold, sometimes not so much. Historically, unless, you know, you can sort of pay for one, if you'd like, but I do tend to agree with the mayor that a good broker's, opinion of value is usually as good as an appraisal in terms of establishing an asking price. And that's what you're doing, is establishing an asking price. Now, if somebody's looking for financing or something of that nature, then they're gonna have to have an appraisal as part of the financing process. But, either way, appraisals are gonna cost, you know, depending upon, you know, who and what type of time frame you give them, you could be spending anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 on an appraisal.
And they are, at this point, pretty booked. So.
They are
We don't have
delayed.
any, so it will take some time to acquire an appraisal. Also, the property wasn't marketed last time. I know the city had out the request for bids, but, a realtor will market it as well. Further and beyond Blackham.
And I should mention that, you know, this is not necessarily binding at all, but we have had some interest from folks who have called and asked about buying it for use as a residence without changing the exterior, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, but we have had some folks call in and ask about buying it. And of course, we're not in a position to commission a one-off sale. It have to be out there available for the public, but there apparently is some interest in the property.
And we do have a couple of folks that want to come up with public comment. Alidra?
Could you put me later before the end, let the other folks speak first?
Okay. Mr. Russo? 3 minutes, time and address?
3 minutes? No, I need 3 minutes.
No, well, that's what you got to work with, sorry. And your address?
Well, yeah, I think as citizens, you have more than 3 minutes on any important issue. You know, you have two identical cities, one with parks, community centers, and the arts, and one without. Well, where do you want to live? The culture of Palatka is improving because of the revitalization that we're experiencing. And removing these facilities is only going to damage the city. The facilities enhance the fabric of our community and the quality of life. I mean, it allows for meetings with family gatherings and social events and all sorts of meetings and all sorts of organizations using this property. Hamacall was the most used community center because the South Fork neighborhood's policy of community service. The policy was not to make money. The policy was to get that building used. So when organizations couldn't afford the normal hourly rate, they used that building simply for the cost of the utilities. And we have developed, aside from that, we have developed a beautiful music festival that the mayor brought to this community. If we lose Hamacall, we lose Palatka Porch Fest. You cannot kick the festival out into those narrow historic streets. And Palatka Porch Fest makes a significant contribution to the city's culture, its image, its revitalization. And my vision is that the revenue that the music festival generates is used for charity projects throughout the whole community. The good works coming from the festival is substantial. And what is the value of those good works? What's the value of it? It's certainly worth more than $125,000. So, Hamacall, the Tillman House, the Lamar Art Center, our parks, our community centers, these are investments in our community and we need to keep them.
I think that also we can speak to the zoning issue that has been brought up. And the use has been a violation of city ordinance for some time. I was a part of the association and didn't know that. We did that for many years. Once you know, you can't, continue that practice. So that's a big factor.
It is zone residential. We attempted to rezone it, which would have allowed more generous use of the property. That attempt was defeated at the planning commission. It is zone residential now. It has no conditional use status that would allow its use as a community center or store or whatever. So it's a residential property as of right now under zone. You remember the commission directed us to take it back to that's what the whole rezoning effort was about. You directed us to take it to the planning commission and try to rezone it. Several options were discussed. Ms. Walsh is here. It was defeated. So it remains residential and there is no grandfather in effect. So it's a residential piece of property.
Are you wanting to make, come up for a public comment?
There's something
This
not-
June, well, this June too. Oh, she, for this particular topic. I'm not sure, she doesn't. You give your name and address for the record, please, and then
Good evening. My name is June Thompson. I live at 617 Minute Street in the Fountain Historic District. By the way, it's very hard to hear during the back. I don't know if it can be turned up. But, since I live in that area, I'm, I get conscious of what makes me want to live in that area. And part of it is the confusion, that we have in dealing with the neighborhood. And part of having a healthy neighborhood is having a place where people can come together and meet, have their meetings, have, different, I guess, social events throughout the year. And, anyway, this, Hammett Hall has been that for, the historic district for many years. And, I think that it's got a precedent. That's what it is. It's worked well. And it's like a central hub, giving us a place to do all those things. Taking away the building would make it less of a cohesive neighborhood. One thing that, the building is now zoned residential, and it's also within the boundaries of historic zones, and as such should be considered a historic building. It should be covered by all the protections set forth by that designation, meaning that the building cannot be torn down and that a non-conforming building cannot replace it. So, that protects the building, like it protects all the buildings in its district. And that's something as far as like not being able to replace it with something that is not conforming that limits it. So anyway, I would like it to say.
Thank you. The building is one where, well, I shouldn't say that. It's not listed on the National Register as all the structures are in that district. Even with listing on the National Register, it's pretty much an honorary designation. And any building can in theory be demolished. I don't like that personally, but it is a reality of listing on the National Register. Again, they would have to go before the Historical Preservation Board and request a certificate of appropriateness to demolish. But a building, it doesn't guarantee a building will never be demolished. That the National Register listing does not protect the building from that, unfortunately. That's for information purposes.
Well, I thought that that was the case, that it's very, very hard to demolish a building that's in historic.
It has more safeguards, but it's not impossible to do. That's
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Cernak, are you coming for public comment or comment specific to this topic? That we closed public general comment a while ago. Sorry. Okay, what's the board's thoughts?
I'm willing to go with that recommendation.
Madam Mayor,
Someone at Lakers.
Ms. Kitchens, will you come up, please?
Liquid Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. And I wanted to wait till the folks that live in the historic district had, spoken. I don't live in the district, but the rezoning would have set a precedent that would have affected my neighborhood. And I got involved because I was requested by several of the citizens to give them assistance in this. That building, I think that if you're going to sell it, you need to give the citizens, the residents of the South Historic District, the option to use their CRA money to purchase that building. And as far as it being non-conforming, you're right, it was non-conforming. The Historic District went in 1983, however, the commercial use preceded 1983. As long as it was used as commercial, then you were sort of, I know Mr. Holmes never liked the word grandfather, but I don't have another word to use. It was grandfathered in, just like the apartment house on the corner of Laurel and Emmett was grandfathered in until it ceased to be an apartment house. So it would still have been used under the so-called grandfathering thing if the city hadn't forced it to be closed and forbidden the citizens of that district to use it. Then when a building becomes vacant for 6 months, then the non-conforming use goes away. So when the city wouldn't let them use the building for 6 months and still can't, that made the non-conforming use go away, and then it did revert to residential. But I would point out this, and I haven't rechecked it this time, but when this came up before, I looked at the Putnam County property appraiser's assessment roll, and that property was worth $214,000 for taxation purposes. Most realtors, most banks look at the property appraiser's records and go from there up. So I would think $150,000 is very, very cheap, and I understand you didn't have any takers, but still, this building, any building that's 50 years old is historic. 1973, if the building was built in 73 or earlier, it's historic. This building was built before then. So I understand about that it's not actually on the register. The district is on the register, and by virtue of that, the buildings are, but it won't protect them. But I would just ask you to take a lot of deliberation on this, think about it, and take the consideration of the citizens, what they want. They live in the district. They've used this building for years, and just think about what you can and can't do with it, what you will and won't do if you do anything you want with it, basically. But just give them some consideration, and maybe they would like, maybe the CRA would love to buy the building. So, I mean, that would be a good thing. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if Ms. Thomas wants to speak to this, but again, it has been used commercially for many years, even when it was used as a center, it wasn't commercial venue.
I'd like to have Ms. Walsh come up also.
Yeah.
This matter came before the commission for the zoning requirements. It was after the commission decided that they were going to do a rezoning of it for commercials, that it was closed for use, and because there are also some safety issues involved with the building. That is why the building is closed. It was not to sabotage the neighborhood and do a subterfuge to change the use and the zoning and the grandfather in that this kitchen was talking about. It was after that time. This matter has been before the commission previously. Everybody had an opportunity to present their ideas. It was denied for the rezoning of commercial use on the planning board and by the commission.
Thank you. Ms. Walsh, anything else?
Pretty much sums it up.
Sorry, for the record, Commissioner Moore has joined the meeting.
Oh, okay, thank you. Welcome, Commissioner Blum. Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on this topic?
Madam Mayor,
Yes. Mr. Russo, we've had your public comment, I'm sorry.
I don't think I used my 3 minutes. I think I used.
Mr. Russo, please. Go ahead.
There. One more comment, please.
Mr. Mann, make it quick, please.
Governor Meehan, 815 Laurel Street. I think the decision was pretty much, it's a residential property. It needs to stay a residential property. My personal opinion, the neighborhood association should not be involved in it. They had their chances and it backfired. It stays residential, and I don't think the neighborhood association should buy it, my personal opinion. My other personal opinion is Porch Fest can survive without Hammond Hall. There's plenty of room within the South Historic neighborhood to find another place to store and spearhead the beginning of the event. It can survive. You just have to retool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Jones.
Where do you suggest I go?
My comment.
Mr. Vito, stop, please.
The attorney already spoken, so it's.
How would you like to proceed?
It's not a discussion because we already made the determination before. It shouldn't have been back on the agenda either.
No, not the determination to put it back on the market.
It's a request for direction on the disposal of the property if you so choose to.
The last direction you gave us was to rezone it. We couldn't, we didn't, we were unable to rezone it. So now the question is, do you want us to sell it, zone residential? That's the point. Do you want us, because before your direction was, we brought it to the commission said, take it to the planning commission and rezone it so that it will allow other uses, which might have included, by the way, a community center, but the folks turned out in force, that was defeated. It remains residential. So now our question is, do we go forward now to sell it as residential property? And if the answer is yes, we will.
Again.
From day one.
Okay, and I think we should proceed too. At this point, it needs work. It's zoned residential, so the neighborhood association really can't use it legally by ordinance. And so we have it there just sitting there, and that's not good for the neighborhood or the building. So I feel we shouldn't follow.
Is that a motion? Yes. A motion to that effect?
Okay, we have a motion second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, I have my hand up there. Yes, I have my hand. So, my last recollection, we did voted it down in terms of rezoning, and we asked to go out and get additional, I guess, appraisal because the 150 was not enough. And so I'm thinking that, what did we come back on the numbers? Because I never got anything.
Commissioner Moore said he never saw the valuation on.
You check those on top of your back at the back of the aircraft.
If the commission wants an appraisal, what's
Step there, okay? Thank you. Careful not to step.
We going to obtain, okay, do we want an appraisal or BPL? Do we want a new appraisal or BPL?
There's been a motion, to second, and we voted on. Warren did not.
I didn't hear what the motion was. So what is it?
At this point, we didn't vote on it, and I'm not sure when you came in on this whole process as far as the discussion about Hannah Hall and what you heard or didn't hear, Commissioner Borum. The beginning of the discussion, Mr. Griffith explained. Do you want to go reiterate that, Jonathan?
I can real quickly, and if the commission does want to direct us to get an appraisal, you can just move to do that. I would ask you to clarify that it would just be a residential use appraisal, and it would not be an income valuation appraisal, and we could most likely do that for a lot less than the alternative. But the broker's opinion, which is well over years old now, was $100,000 for the land and the building, and then $25,000 each for the 2 vacant lots. That is $150,000 total, and that was the high end of the opinion.
Did you hear that, Commissioner Borum? Commissioner Barr? Question again?
You can chat, buddy. Not trying to text anyone. Those expenses, because that's what I was trying to do when I'm off connection match.
I have a little bit of an issue with us having text, communication.
I don't think it's an argument, I think it's
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going at the moment.
Yeah, Commissioner Warren appears to have lost signal. He dropped off the line. Madam Mayor, may I note for the record that he just did not vote on this matter? And I don't know if he voted up or down. Thank you.
So it sounds like the consensus is you'd like to have a residential appraisal without an income approach, and we'll move
That's
forward
not,
with that.
that's not.
No?
Commissioner
Okay.
Gaston.
All right.
It's not for me as well. That is going to take a lot more time. There's a potential time, I honestly don't know that, but generally it takes more.
You want a good time to make the right decision, or you just wanna put that building out there for $100,000 and you know
It's
that
$150,000.
and you know that that property is worth more than that. And, you know, it just don't smell right, it don't look right, you know, that's my opinion. I think that we should do the right thing to the citizen. $100,000 of properties over there, I bet your trumps are more than that in that neighborhood. So, again, I want to make that clear, that's why I think we should do an approach.
It looks like Commissioner Barr and the staff are with us. What is the consensus about the appraisal? Do we want an appraisal?
Yes, I was back. I just,
Go ahead, Commissioner Barr. Oh, we lost you. Okay, I think he said yes. The appraisal was that. Yes, I said that.
I also want to bring up a question down. Do you have any interest in, I know the historic district, things of that nature. Do you have any interest at all in that building in the past or future?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I just want to make sure we disclose any of that, because you are a very state agent. No, I just want to make, put it out in the open. We're gonna talk about that kind of, I know you're expert.
There's no motion for an appraisal. There's no consensus. Right now, we have no motion on the floor.
I think the Commissioner Board put a motion in, and did anybody second?
He did not make a motion.
She didn't make a motion. I think. Okay, we need to move forward on the agenda. Discussion direction setting forth procedures for the allocation of commissioner community project special event funds.
So if you'll look in your packet at item 8, actually the page, the back of the page sets forth a couple of proposed processes for approval of each commissioner's special events budget. You remember I indicated earlier that I would provide some blueprints for you to change as you might see fit. I received no input from anyone. The 2 items or options that are on the back of the page would be supplemented by the criteria that's on the front of the page. So actually, that's kind of backwards in terms of the way it's presented in your book. But the 2 options are, as you see, one would involve an actual vote consideration by the commission for the approval of any expenditure. Option 2 would not, but it would involve a review period, and assuming that there was no opinion by the city attorney that the proposed expenditure was not a legitimate one, the guidelines to be applied would be on the front page 1 through 6. So for your consideration.
Thank you.
If you wanted to talk about the travel, I mean, you can.
We don't have to revisit it. It's fine. It is- that is good.
So it's a suggestion from me. If you are not prepared to deal with it tonight, then that's fine. But I promised you that I would bring back some options and some criteria, and I have.
I have to remember. I also recommend that we put in here that no money in funds should be given to any organization under the name of a commissioner. It's a city fund. City fund shouldn't be under a commissioner, but under the name of the city of Palatka. And that should be really clear.
Well, item number 2 states the contribution should be in the name of the city of Palatka, but may list the commissioner from whose budget the funds are taken as the proposer.
That's almost just like I'm taking out of my pocket, and it's not out of my pocket, it's the city's money. So
How do you want that to read? You want to strike, just say the contribution should be in the name of the city of Palatka, period?
I think it should be, because what we do is, okay, let me give you the explanation of why. I said that, okay?
I'm on this meeting.
Because it actually put a facade on it, that I am contributing a million out of my pocket to an organization or a cause. When it actually is taxpayers' money that they're giving to an organization. And maybe under your direction, that it's gonna be, this money to be spent, it will be the board's okay, the board's okay, it's not a decision that you should be able to make, to go to any one of us to go to any organization under Will Jones. And taxpayers. Clear understanding of what we're talking about.
Commissioner Campbell?
Allocated to us as a commission. And what we decide to give, as long as it benefits the city, it still comes from, or the recommendation comes from the individual or not.
I would make it even clearer, because we're elected officials, it could indicate that we support the cause, and in turn, for support of our cause, when we're running for office again.
Okay, so I was just making one individual fight versus individual.
That would be my thought. I came in late on this, obviously, just learning about it as I took office, but I'm kind of uncomfortable with the whole concept. I mean, I can see that as just coming from the city, not having to each have 5,000, just having this pot of money. But in a while, if it were me, again, could we do something like public art or something more general than giving to an event that's run by a specific organization? So it looks like we have preferential viewing towards this organization. I'm a bit uncomfortable with that, and maybe that's just it.
So in other words, you have a $25,000 commissioner's budget of public art, and if you want to do something, you come before the commission and say, hey,
Right.
this is a public event, and I would like to request this amount of money.
That was my thought. I mean, that I'd be more comfortable with something like that.
And that kind of like something you want to do, Commissioner Jones?
Then you're gonna have a issue with limits. The mayor spent 13,000, I spent 2,000.
We still can say it was about $5,000.
Right. So, but that'd be something.
$5,000.
I think we're gonna have to, I don't know, maybe we should all think about this one, and that's something we really want to.
$25,000 pot, you must have a $5,000 limit. If you do not spend it, it stays in the pot. We come before the commission. Don't use it, that's how we have a limit, and it's transparency. You come before the commission. Transparency, it limits, and we can put it out there, we can put it in writing, but that's just my thing. That's
I
my
put a motion into eliminating, your number 2 on the front page, where you didn't put in specific commissioner's name. And it would be your suggestion.
So option 2 on the back of the sheet,
Right, where just go to finance, and you request it through finance.
and eliminating criteria number 2. Is that what your motion is? Okay.
What is it now?
The motion is to go with option number 2 of the proposed process for approval. I listed 2 options. The motion is to adopt option 2 and the criteria, which is on the front of the page. These would be adopting that criteria, except it would be eliminating item number 2. Is that the motion? Yeah. That's the motion.
Okay, the motion, you have a second. For what was proposed.
Commissioner Warren, are you on?
I'm on, but I'm gonna be losing y'all. I'm in the tunnel right now, so I'm in and out a little bit, so I won't be free for the next 10 to 15, about 10 minutes or so. I'll be having good clear signal. So I trust that y'all.
Or would you like for us to table this? I mean, I just want to be fair in this process. Are you able to?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think we should table this so that you can be able to see this before we vote on it.
I think that would be.
Are you okay with that?
Table it to a date
Can you hear
certain.
me?
Second.
So I think we should table it. That's
Are you
right.
tabling for a date certain so we don't have to re-advertise?
Next week.
Right.
To next week, okay? I'm not voting here. Okay, what are we going to
Who
public hearing?
seconded the motion?
The motion died. Do we have a
Well, I mean, the
second?
motion to table. Who seconded the motion to table?
Oh, okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
You ain't say approve.
Any opposition?
Oh, nay.
Let's get into it. Public hearings, ordinance 2023-02, rezoning 19 Mosley Avenue, Palatka, Florida, 32177, from City of Palatka, single family R1AA to City of Palatka, single family R1A. Second reading adoption.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Palatka, Florida, providing that the official zoning map of the City of Palatka, Florida be amended from City of Palatka Residential Single Family R1AA to the City of Palatka Residential Single Family R1A for the following property: 1900 Mosley Avenue, Palatka, Florida 32177, Golf Club Heights, Suffolk 3, page 124, all of Block 1, closed alley, south portion of C1A Street, that portion of Cleveland Avenue, Block 6, Blocks 9, 10, 11, and 12, that north part of closed C1A Street, plus closed Cleveland Avenue, closed alley, Block 7, Lot 7 and 8, portion of closed, plus abandoned roads, Pharmacy Up Street, Cleveland Avenue, alley, official records, book 258, page 471, official records 181, page 145, and official records 1124, page 1837, parcel B, parcel number 1310, 26, 3170, 0010, 40, providing for servability, providing for signatures, and providing for effective date.
Ms. Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. This is the second reading of this ordinance. Heard it last meeting and denied the motion. I'm sorry, denied the approval.
What was the motion, Sonny?
He just said so moved. When I read the caption.
For the sake of discussion. We haven't voted on it. We have a statement, your name.
Ms. Thomas.
As Ms. Walsh said, this came before the commission last meeting. It was, in February, rezoning. The commissioners voted to deny the rezoning, just to make everybody clear as to what that is for.
We have several folks, that give a public comments. Mr. Galloway. Name and address for the record, 3 minutes, please.
My name is Jared Galloway. I live at 2504 Fairway Drive, Palatka.
Well, you submitted a card, but you have
I'm
comments.
sorry?
You submitted a card with public comments, so.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. I just bought a house on Fairway Drive. this has been kicking around a couple of meetings. Can you go back to, in very quick summary, where did this start? What was it zoned originally?
Ms. Walsh?
Yes, ma'am.
Pre-summary, thank you. This actually started about a year and a half ago. The property is currently zoned R1A. The applicant wished to rezone it to R1AA for the purpose of construction of.
First of all,
R1AA, I'm sorry, R1AA.
that's a half acre lot.
There. And there are minimum development standards.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't pull them out of my head right now, so
Neither can I. That's the reason I'm asking.
I would have to give you that.
Does anyone know what was the original lot size? Has Palatka already?
Mr. Gallo.
Okay, you know what, sir, maybe if we let everybody else come up and do their public comment, maybe we'll plan it. Okay, thank you.
Very much against. If you've already given in once and you're coming back to give in again, I'm very much against what's going on out there on Edgemore and in Crestwood. That's all I can say. And I've tried to get information, but it's the same round and round. No one's got
Did you
time to
understand
tell you
the
what's going on.
commission denied it?
did.
You understand they denied it the first go around? You said you've already given in once. They didn't give in. They denied.
Okay.
All first reading.
That's all. Thank you very much. That's really important information.
Thank you. Beverly Becker? Name and address, please, 3 minutes.
Beverly Becker, and I live at 2031 Country Club Terrace. I addressed the planning and zoning board last meeting, and basically I'm just going to reiterate the same thing I said there. We're very concerned about our area. It is sliding off and going into the wrong direction. We're against the zoning, bringing more houses in, and worried about the value of our homes. And basically, that's really what I want to say. I know I don't have much time, but we're very much opposed to it. We have a hard time in our area keeping things nice. It's slowly, litter, crime, it's just going down. And like I said at the last meeting, most of us are retired. I'm widowed. Can't leave. We want to keep it nice. I live, basically my street's pretty nice, but the area in general is going down. And that's all we can do is come and voice our opinion and try and keep our area nice. Now, I know this probably isn't the time, but this is definitely the place. On the way to the meeting today or tonight, still daylight, coming around Ravine Garden curves, you're familiar with what I'm talking about? The litter is atrocious. There is cups, napkins, styrofoam plates, just all over the place. And every time I drive by, I call the city and I told them, they know me very well. I say, please, can you come down and pick up the trash at Ravine Gardens curb? They always do. But in 3 days' time, it's back. Just, you know, I don't mean to be so negative. But while I'm here and I have a voice, I need to tell you, the litter is horrible. Thank you.
Mrs. Nichols? Name and address, please.
Penny Nichols, 1717 Palmquist Street, Palatka. And I just want to say thank you for denying and standing up for the planning board. And you know what I said 2 weeks ago. Thank you again for doing it. I hope tonight, in the second meeting, that you follow suit. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, and citizens, you unanimously denied the proposal at the last meeting. I want to thank you for doing that, and I hope that you continue to do that tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Nichols?
Arthur Nichols, 1717 Palmer City Street, Palatka, live about a quarter of a mile from Mosley Avenue, and right at the corner of this property, but almost. Just a brief of what I said last time. The property to the north, property to the west, property to the south, all Edgemore is all R1 AA, just like this property is R1 AA. Across Mosley Avenue, Ms. Hughes lives the R1A. However, the lot size over there is 100 feet, whereas the R1A, R1 AA, I think is 80. So they could put at least 3 lots along there where 2.5 lots are across the street from it. So they could still, they're talking about making money. You still make money on it. It's going to have money out. Better people. Hopefully keep it up. Thank you. I hope you do like you did last time. Thank you.
Ms. Wise?
Good evening. I too would like to say thank you for listening to the community. Thank you for allowing us to have a voice to voice our opinion of what matters to us. Your decision last week was stellar. I want to be on record to say thank you for hearing us. But I also want you to hear this. None of us are against bringing homes in Palatka. We know this is a gem in the rough waiting to happen. We understand that. But we also understand the quality of life that we have here. We want to preserve it. We can go forward and preserve at the same time. And I would like to give you guys kudos for hearing us. But I also want to say a warning that when you don't hear us, you will see us. And that we are going to make sure that you continue to be our gatekeepers. I would like to also ask for a consideration when it comes to your agendas. I think you guys ought to give us sleeping bags, serve us lunch or dinner, or on hotbed issues such as these type of issues, bring it forth earlier because you want our input. We want to give it and you want to hear it, but it's very difficult to be here as late as we were. And I know you guys got tired. So I'm saying on hotbed issues, if it can go to a committee prior, hear our discussion prior to coming here, and you hear what we're saying, maybe to move those issues a little quicker. Because again, I want to give you my opinion, but I do not want to spend the night with you. And I know you want to go home to your families. So again, thank you so much. And please consider doing what you did the last time. Vote in favor of this not going for a change. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Hughes?
Karen Hughes, 1907 Mosley Avenue. And I'm not going to withdraw all what they've said. I just want to thank y'all again. This is my 4th meeting on this. This I really think is important that, you know, we do need to have houses being built in Palatka. We do need that. We don't need houses jammed so close together that it just causes all kind of problems. And to answer Mr. Galloway, 2 AA requires 80-foot lots. 1A only requires a 60-foot lot. And the setback goes from 20 feet to 10. So she could get a whole lot of houses jammed in there. And if you've been down mostly lately, the traffic, especially coming off of Lundy Road and coming over the hill, it's really bad. And we don't need that density of houses in that little 3 acres there. She can build houses, still don't want 80-foot lots.
Mr. Marker?
Howard Balashi, 1705 Palmer City Street. And I appreciate the decision y'all made 2 weeks ago. Another thing came to my mind. Should have had like baseball has a 7th inning stretch. You need a 7th agenda item stretch because I've been standing up pretty much since then because as city manager said we can only sit for so long. But anyway, I had some different thoughts in the last couple of weeks. And the RAA zoning does allow less than what's often built. And what I've seen throughout town, regardless of the zoning, people tend to build higher than what the zoning allows. And this change in zoning is going the total opposite direction. And I agree that we need development, we need housing, but not the kind that's proposed for this piece of property. Again, I just thank you for y'all's decision and consideration.
Ms. Kitchens? Lisa Kitchens, 1027 South Mill Street, Palatka, Florida. And I wanted to thank you also for upholding the planning board the last time, which denied this rezoning, and for listening to the citizens. And I would ask you to please deny this rezoning again, just like you did 2 weeks ago. And if I said that the city had vacated Hammock Hall for a purpose of some kind of nefarious purpose, I don't think I said it, but if I said it, then I apologize. Thank you. Ms. Reese?
Sitting too long. I wasn't able to be here at last meeting, but I wanted to come in and say thank you. I live at 2509 Fairway Drive. It's a well-established neighborhood. We take pride in our property. We have covenants and restrictions, so our houses sit back from the road. There's no fencing in the front yards. We do everything that we can to keep green space nice. But I'm reminded that neighborhoods are very fragile and they need to be nourished. If not, they get weak and they decay. Stronger neighborhoods need protection for safety, things like curbs, sidewalks, streetlights, and parkway trees. Higher density neighborhoods make them less attractive. And so this less attraction attracts less attractive buyers and renters. And this creates a downward spiral. Higher density destroys the quality of life. There's higher traffic. There's more drain on natural resources. I saw the drawing first as I drove by. I stopped and took pictures so I could enlarge it. There was, I didn't see any planning for proposed water runoff, cutouts from Mosley or Edgemore. It didn't seem like a plan. It was just like a throw it out there and see what happens. They've already cut down all of the trees in that neighborhood. So all those tree roots are destroyed. That would impact water runoff that has to go somewhere. And so I applaud you for protecting and not lowering the quality of life in that area, and ask that you continue to do so. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Public comment is closed. With the motion is second. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Jones.
One of the things that would be very helpful in this entire process to shorten these meetings and have you not have you have to be, but have you consider all these things, is the addition to our code of a mandatory community meeting more someone submits plat or a PG, anything like that. And that's one reason why I mentioned earlier that the Crystal Cove property is having their community meeting tonight. It's something that I asked them to do. They recognize the value of it and they implement. And they will take that into consideration with their PUD application. So that I just want to let you know that is something that I'd like to have done as part of the comprehensive plan update and subsequent land development regulation update.
Thank you.
Do you have a motion to deny on the floor?
There was a, for discussion, there was a motion to approve.
So, well, wait, so you have, motions for discussion to approve, or I'm not sure exactly what that is, quite frankly. So the item is on the agenda. There's a motion to either approve or deny. And that's what we have in front of us. This is the second reading of an ordinance. So what is the motion on the floor?
Commissioner Campbell's words were so moved, so I take it down as a motion to approve.
Open for discussion.
Because it was at night.
And then she can say all in favor and you say yea or nay, and she can roll call it.
Would you like me to speak to this? or-
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
Hello, yes, Commissioner Gorman.
Well, is this the item for the second reading of,
Second
what
reading.
what we've already voted on already, correct? And it was the denial for the changing of the zoning, correct?
We did already vote on it. It's the second meeting. We voted to deny the request for the change.
On the first reading, you voted to deny. Right now, so to clarify the record, Sonny, show Commissioner Campbell's motion as being one for discussion of the item. And now, and
Okay.
and it has been discussed now, so now you're called for a motion to either approve
Yeah.
or deny the ordinance.
I'll make a motion that we deny.
Second.
All in favor?
Second, I second.
We have a second, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion was for deny, so a vote. Okay, so you have a unanimous vote in favor of denying the ordinance. Say nay that you're voting against the motion to deny. You gotta vote in favor of the motion to deny. Keep moving to deny.
Okay, folks, calling our meeting. Quiet, thank you. PBK 22-21, request to amend future land use map from City of Palatka commercial to City of Palatka residential low, and rezone the same from City of Palatka general commercial to City of Palatka residential single family, address 7341 Krill Ave, Palatka, owner Shamin Bahati.
Okay, may I read the caption, Madam Mayor?
I'm sorry, yes, you can.
Okay. An ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing that future land use map of the adopted comprehensive plan be amended with respect to the following parcel of land less than 50 acres in size from city of Palatka commercial to city of Palatka residential low RL for the following property. A portion of 7341 Krill Avenue, Palatka, Florida 32177, described as a portion of lot 4 lying in and being a part of the southeast border of the southwest quarter of section 9, township 10 south, range 26 east, Putnam County, Florida, providing for scrivener's errors and providing for an effective date.
We have a motion. Thank you. Ms. Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. As you mentioned, this is a request for you to take this parcel of land from commercial to residential R1 for zoning and also from commercial to residential low for their land use. There's two separate ordinances, one for the land use and one for zoning. This is also the second of both of these ordinances. Recommended, you actually approved it the last.
Thank you.
The land use, is it identified?
Yes, sir, the land use is requested to go from commercial to residential low.
Okay, and there are two ordinances up for second reading. On the first ordinance, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Does the floor be open to public hearing on this
Yes.
ordinance?
Sorry. Anyone here for
Is
public?
this the first reading of this ordinance? This is the
Second.
first reading, correct?
Second.
Second.
Anyone here for public comment? Closing public comment. Okay, we have our motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. Open public comment to the second portion of the ordinance. Anybody here for public
Am I to
comment?
read the second portion of the ordinance?
Yes, you can.
An ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing the special zoning map of the city of Palatka be amended from city of Palatka general commercial C1 to city of Palatka single family district R1 for the following property. A portion of 7341 Pearl Avenue, Palatka, Florida 32177, described as a portion of lot 4, parcel of land lying in and being a part of the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of section 9, township 10, South Range 26 East, Putnam County, Florida, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Anybody making public comment on ordinance 2023-04? No public comment, closed. Do the motion a second for that portion of the ordinance. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, thank you. All set, we have the ordinance 2023-05, update and amend impact fees, second reading adoption.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bear with me as I get to that page. And bear with me as I read this thing. An ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, to be known as the City of Palatka Comprehensive Impact Fee and Connection Fee Ordinance, amending section 54-111, title 54-112, general definitions 54-113, legislative findings 54-117, adoption of park impact fee study 54-118, imposition of parks and recreational facilities impact fees 54-121, use of monies 54-123, legislative findings applicable to fire rescue impact fees 54-124, adoption and fire impact fee study 54-125, imposition of fire rescue impact fees 54-128, use of monies 54-130, definitions applicable to road impact fees 54-131, adoption of road impact fee study 54-132, adoption of road impact fee study 54-133, imposition of road impact fees 54-134, alternative road impact fees 54-135, payment 54-136, use of monies 54-137, individual calculation of road impact fees 54-140, adoption of law enforcement impact fee study 54-141, imposition of law enforcement impact fees 54-142, alternative law enforcement impact fees 54-144, use of monies 54-145, individual calculation of law enforcement impact fees 54-146, water impact fees 54-147, legislative findings applicable to water impact fees 54-148, adoption of water and wastewater impact fee study 54-149, adoption of water impact fees 54-150, alternative water impact fees 54-151, payment 54-152, use of monies 54-153, alternate collection method 54-154, sewer impact fees 54-155, legislative findings applicable to sewer impact fees 54-156, water and wastewater impact fee study 54-157, adoption of sewer impact fees 54-158, alternative sewer impact fees 54-159, payment 54-160, use of money 54-160.1, alternative collection method 54-160.2, exemptions 54-160.4, changes in size and use 54-160.5, remedial collection methods 54-160.6, county reporting of impact fees 54-160.7, developer contribution credits 54-160.8, review hearings 54-160.9, review requirements 545 or 54, 545-160.10, notice of impact fee rates, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the city's code, providing for effective date.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
That was certainly a mouthful, wasn't it? Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. This ordinance of the impact fees that was done by the consultant. This is the second reading of it. Last time you approved it. I just want to go over everything briefly. Some of the scrivener's errors were addressed from a previous edition of this, and there will be another one, obviously, for that last section of 545 point or dash 160 dash 10. It's supposed to be 54 dash. So are accomplishing here tonight is the adoption of these impact fees. Because that puts on record, it documents the update of them, which is required in order to implement them. If this is approved tonight, the impact fee notice will go out shortly to the paper, and they would go into effect in May. And if the ad were run tomorrow, it would go into effect. Probably going to effect between May 10th and May 15th by the time we get the ad published. Have any questions about this?
I have reflect on Madam Mayor. Section 5.04. My question is, on the study, I looked at this again, Was it recommended DEP or did we go in, we being the staff go in and decide what the fee was?
Fees were recommended by the consultant staff, did not make any individual decisions regarding them. The fees are all based on their studies and considerations of the capital improvements schedule that we currently have.
So, looking at 5.04, where, and in no way we want to stop roads. But we do need to impact the other everybody. Press that. But I did look over here where the adoption of water connection fees. And I guess everything pretty much it doubled. Is that from the last time in 2008? That 7? And my question, as we did that, I have one question. For a 2-inch meter, it went from $1,140 per dwelling to $5,984.
Suspect that has much to do with current prices of meters.
We want to bring that out, look everybody else saw that.
So in most residential houses do not use a 2-inch meter, they use a 3/4 inch meter.
Which is double, but I was seeing with the typo or what that.
There wasn't a typo, sorry. I can tell you that for a single family residence, the fees that would have been collected, and all of them been implemented in 2007, total $5,890. These calculated fees, some have gone up, most have gone down. And the actual total that is calculated now is only $702 higher. Sorry, $702.98 higher than it would have been in 2007.
I just saw that on the page.
Understood, I'd be jumping too.
That's
I
it.
probably won't be asking for a 2-inch meter at my house.
Well, that also only affects new construction.
Correct.
So unless you're building a new house, you won't be asking for it.
That's correct.
Thank you for
Communications?
explaining.
Legal Kitchens, 1027 South Grove Street, Palatka, Florida. I just want to state, when I stated at the last meeting, I approved these impact fees. We need them for a long time. We absolutely need them. If you're going to come in and impact the city services, which impact us and the citizens of live here, you need to pay for it. If you want to dance, you need to pay the bill. Please pass this again tonight like you did 2 weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anybody else? Do you have anybody else for public comment? Okay, closing public comments. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? We have a motion?
No,
We need a motion?
I'm okay.
Okay, second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? And thank you. Okay, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Kittle. Okay, Commissioner Jones.
I don't have any.
Commissioner Barr, are you with us still? No. Commissioner McCaskill?
Got it, it's not, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, I'm still with you, but I have